Good morning. Today is the last day of October, so let's make it a green day, and the 31st of October. Happy Halloween as well. And we just got 30 minutes for the market open, so I'm just going to recap my trading plan for today. I'm kind of watching a few levels on the MES. I'm just starting on the daily. Let's quickly look at economic news today. 9:45, so if you're in a trade, quarter of an hour after the open, be wary because there might be a bit of market movement. 10 a.m, 9:45, 10 a.m, and that's about it really. We had a bit of news 8:30, and we saw a little bit of negative. Well, here we go, this is the 8:30 candle there, and we saw a bit of a negative result from that. So that's going to play a bit of an impact in my trading plan today. So let's look at the hourly. So this is the MES chart, which is the same as the ES chart. This is the micro minis, or the mini micros for the S&P 500 futures. So one of the areas I'm watching today, let me open up my pen, is I quite like this daily level, 4200, 4196, 4197 area. That's an area I'm potentially watching for a rejection. It's also the pre-market highs as well. We've been up there once today, we touched it, came very close to touching 4200 yesterday, and we actually touched 4200 today, and so I'm looking for a potential rejection from that area. It's going to be a higher risk rejection because we're in a bit of an hourly micro uptrend, putting in a new high, we're putting a new high there, so higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. Where's my pen? I'm trying to get my pen to show up. Where is it? Let's try again. So that's kind of why I want to be a bit wary. So it's going to be a more of a scalp or a higher risk rejection, 4200. Potentially, if we're taking this small uptrend, we could be looking at a break and retest of that area. So this is the area I'm watching for here, and just to confirm, I'm looking for a potential higher risk scalp rejection if we come up to 4200. So basically I'm looking for a double top. Potential target would be 4185. We can see that was a level we touched today, and we touched it there, and this is a big area in the post-market, pre-market a few days back, and an area on Friday or Thursday. So if we get the scalp up here, potential target would be 4185, and again it's a scalp, so if I get in there, I'll be looking just to take some partials out on the way down. A more probable trade is a break and retest. There's a higher probability trade, and so 4200, look for the trend to continue, basically a trend continuation of this little micro uptrend we've got in the hourly. So 4200 is a key area today. We're either going to reject it or we're going to break it and then retest it. If we do go long, then I'll be watching for 4218 area as a potential target. Obviously we've got this supply zone, so anywhere from 4210 to 4220 we could see it reject, so just be a bit wary of that. Plus we've got the downward trend and 200 moving average on this hourly chart as well coming into play. So that's kind of what I'm watching for, and we've got a trend line on the daily here at 4245 area, and that's a daily area. If you can, so potentially, like we saw here, it could come up for a bit of a where it came up. We haven't actually rejected it yet. We broke through, and then we came back. So we broke it, we bounced off it, then broke through, bounced off it, tested it again, and then finally broke through, but we've yet come back to retest it. So 4240 is a higher probability rejection, but we need to see a big green day for that. And I think that's it really. Bounce wise, if we can get back down to 4150, 4154, potentially looking for a bounce at that area, and a potential bounce at 4122. I'll be watching SPY and SPX as well to see whether they line up with these bounces. But 4100 on the SPX is an area I've got an alert set to, so that's a potential bounce because it's a round number on the SPX. Okay, so that's really my ES, to make sure I think I covered everything. Yeah, my notes are in front of me, so I'll try to keep decent notes of what I'm looking for. You can see here got my pre-market game plan, a scenario, so market rallies, 4200 is the level we just discussed. Inside day, don't forget if it isn't inside day, I'll just show you the daily at the moment. Then you want to be a bit wary that if it's an inside day, a bit like yesterday was for most of it, we might just see a day where we just do that all day hit, and I don't really want to trade in that type of scenario, so I put on there to walk away. So basically I'm waiting for the break or rejection of 4200s. This is the level for me to watch today, or one of the levels down here. One thing to note as well, yesterday we had a pullback on the daily. This is quite interesting, and if you note we had high above average volume for these two down days, and then this one up day we had, it's below the average volume as well. So more than average volume for the down days, below average volume for the green day, which generally means it's a weaker day as well. You can see the size of this candle, slightly bigger than the previous day as well, but we had much less volume. So something to keep an eye on, that is, because if we see another day of low volume, potentially that's showing weakness in the buyers, and we could be potentially looking at a bear flag and for a rejection down, so maybe a break and retest down. So something to watch for. This doesn't, I know I've read somewhere that people think that this could be the bottom of the market and we're going to see a big push up, but based on this volume candle, I don't think we're at the bottom just yet. But we don't know that. We don't know what the market intends, but potentially keep an eye on that area. We're in a daily area as well, so potentially we could see a bit of a rejection here. If we don't reject at this daily level, 4200, we talked about our psychological number. We got this daily trend line as well at 4240, so we could see a bit of a push up to this area for a rejection. And I think that's it really. Looking at SPY next. So I've got a few levels for SPY, very similar. I'm looking at the pre-market high for a rejection, maybe 418 for a potential rejection in this top of this supply zone. So they're the two areas I'm watching for rejections. So 417, this will be a higher risk rejection, and this will be a slightly higher probability, but wait for confirmation. If you noticed, we've now closed above the 50 on the daily as well, still below the 200. So you can see we come down, we wicked down and tested the 50. I think that might be just one of those funny tin hat wicks, but funny how it comes right down into the 50 moving average. Maybe it's no coincidence we've gone yesterday's data candle as well, right down at the 50% of the data candle yesterday. Who knows, that's coincidence. But I'd guess if you draw enough lines, something's going to touch at some point. Get rid of that now. If we're looking for a bounce, like I said, keep an eye on SPX, which I'll show in a second, but potentially watching this area 410 to 409 for a potential bounce. And that's it really, and there's not much more to watch on SPY. And obviously we've got a break and retest of this area as well, similar to 417 will be a break and retest. Okay, Qs. Just checking and make sure we've got time. So I was a little bit put out with time today. In the UK, we clocked went back on Sunday, and even though I was aware of it, I forgot, and it went until about quarter of an hour before 2 PM here in Eastern Time, which is quarter to 9 UK time. Quarter to 9 Eastern Time, which is quarter to 1 here in the UK. I realised I was a little bit out. You can probably hear my voice is going a little bit as well, so I'm a bit under the weather. So Qs, I quite like the bounce off a 352 area, a rejection off a 352 area. It's a previous pivot as well, and we saw a big reaction off of that last time. And when we did break it, we came back, we tested it with this candle during the market hours, came back down and we couldn't quite get back up there again. So I quite like a rejection off of this area. Again, potentially putting in a bear flag, so we could draw the trend lines in and watch it, keep an eye on whether it breaks. So I've got one trend line, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clone the trend line. Look at that, it's almost exactly on. So if you, on TradingView, you can right click, clone, or I like the control and drag, where I press, select it, hold down the control button on my key and just drag it. And look at that, trend line almost perfectly fits. So, and reason I positioned it where I did, you can see where the market came in, rejected, came down, and then it stuck within this trend line. So we tested the bottom, potentially it lines up with the 352 we're just talking about as well. So there's a couple of reasons why we like 352. It's the top channel of this trend line, bottom of that pivot there, and it's an area of support as well. So 352 rejection. For continuation of the trend down, we've got to break this area 347, and we've got to break out through the channel, so potentially watch for a break and retest of this channel as well. So 347 break and retest, and potentially you could say the same for not that level, this level here. If you miss the first entry, we might see it break out, retest, come down, or even bounce, come through. And then we've got the low of the day as a target. So the low of the day of Thursday as a target. And that's it really. One rejection. If we see a market rally on the Qs, quite like this area, 360. But it's going to be a big green day. I can't really see anything anywhere closer. I've got this level. This probably comes back. This is probably a level from, yeah. So we potentially got 353 area as well, but not a perfect area. You can see it's low. If you look at the volume control on the left, it's an area of low volume. So I would expect the market to push through that area a bit easier than it would do if it's trying to push through this area here. It's got higher condensed volume. So I'll either only consider 352 as a rejection, or if we break the trend line, like the lower trend line, break and push up, knowing that we have got this area of low volume as well, congested volume, so there may not be too much resistance there. Okay, looking at NQ, how we do for time? Oh, 13, we've got still a quarter of an hour. NQ, what's this, a daily? You can see we're in a daily downtrend, putting in a series of lower lows, lower low, possibly equal low. No, just about a lower low. We've got this lower low as well. So again, if we draw the trend line, let's connect these up. Funny that, how they just almost touch perfectly. About there, and then let's clone it. Here we go, so we've got not a bad trend line, so we've got that bottom there, touches that bottom there, and look at that, 200 moving average as well. So if we, I'll just thin that out a bit. So potentially we're looking for a rejection at 15,250, that area there. Coincides with this area of area of higher congested volume, and the point of control goes through that area as well. So 15,000 looks like a nice psychological area to go for a rejection, and a rejection will continue this trend down as well. And then for bounces, so that's on the daily, so that's a few days out if we ever get there, so be wary of that on the hourly. I've got a trend line in now so we can see, that's better. So for higher risk rejection, we could see this area here, 14,600, 14,630, 14,640 area, only because of the bottom of these pivots. We've got this area here of hardly any volume as well. So if we do come into resistance, this is the area we'll be looking for resistance based on this volume profile on the left. So 14,800 to 14,900 is an area to look for rejection. And if I were to pick an area, it's going to have to be 14,863, that area there. But we would have to get through this downward trailing 200 moving average first as well. So potential rejection at 14,600, 14,657 and 14,863. And then we've got this major area on this trend line and also a psychological number. I misplaced when I said in the daily. The 16,000's quite up here, so that's our potential. If we do get to that level, that's a psychological rejection. Last time it was up there, we touched it and we've seen this big reaction. So that's a good area to watch for the daily. But on the hourly, 15,200 is an area to watch for rejection. Okay, I think that's it for NQ. Looking at oil. How's that looking today? Looking at the daily first. So you can see on the, I don't know why my trend line's gone a bit skew. So you can see that trend line from last week was broken, and we definitely broke it with this almost an engulfing bar down, so we can get rid of that now. So potentially we're at a bounce area right now. We've pulled back, but the volume is below average as well. Still higher volume than we were seeing. All this area here is higher volume than we saw before middle of September as well. So if I were to I quite like the bounce off a 77 or 88, 78 area. So if we do break this level, a break and retest this level would be a great position down with a target of 78, and then maybe a bounce off of that, and that's based on bottoms of those candles, tops of this candle, and it's an area I've drawn out, so it probably goes back a few months as well. So 78 bounce, higher probability bounce, break and retest, which goes with the current micro trend on the hourly, which I'll go into the hourly in a second. Let's go into that now. And you could say it's setting up a bit of a head and shoulders pattern. So the left shoulder, the head, whichever you want to use as a shoulder. This is the neckline down here. A break and retest of this level, 82.34. And you can see we've had this level in place for some time now. I think it was in when we were looking here, and that's going back to the beginning of October, probably in there before that time as well. And we've bounced off it quite a few times since. And you know, we can only knock on the door so amount of times before we finally break through. So potentially 82.34 break and retest. I would say that's a higher probability trade based on the fact that we're looking in a bit of an hourly downtrend at the moment. And if we get back up to 85.50, we could look for a possible rejection, and that will keep us within this range where we're just going back and forth potentially. So there are the two areas on oil. Looking at gold, I quite like gold on the daily. So it came back. I was potentially interested in going long gold yesterday. I missed the entry, to be honest. Low volume, which is good to see when we want to see it go long. Still quite like this area, the breakout of 2020. I did take an actual entry. I did take a long entry yesterday on gold. On the pullback, it was this bit at the top here. I was waiting for the breakout, but it didn't happen. I got out small, very small profit. Let's put some lines in. So we've got this area for potential bounce. This this area is a potential rejection or a breakout. So what I really would like to see is a break and retest of this area, 2014. And we've got a target of this area here. Here we go. That's a potential target area, 2056. And if we do take it as a swing trade, then we've got two targets. We've got this pivot up. We know there's a big area of demand, supply up here because we pushed up, we wicked, and we know the sellers pushed it all the way back down again. So this entire area is a supply area, so it might be quite tough to get through. But I do quite like this squeeze on the gold. Yeah, they're the areas. There's no other clearer areas really. So a break and retest of this area. Potentially a rejection here and a rejection up here, and that's for an intraday. For a swing trade, I quite like it long. Maybe I've missed my swing trade entry yesterday on that pullback. I was really waiting for it to get back down to nearer to 2000. In fact, it wasn't far off actually. Oh, there you go. It did come right back down to 2000. So I missed my entry. Maybe today it might just give us a few side days where we're eating time off the clock, and maybe it might be a possibility for a re-entry at 2000 for the push up. Okay, I think that's it really for gold. So those are the levels I'm watching. I'll just recap MES. So MES, I quite like the break and retest of 4200, 42,000. So 4200 I meant. I like this could be a target if we go long at 42.17 or a rejection area, and that's based on the previous pivot there and where we consolidated for a bit. And if we do get up to 42.60 area, we've got this point of control, we've got this high level volume, so I quite like that area here for rejection. So 42.60, I'm going to draw that in. I got rid of a few of my lines earlier. So 42.60 as a rejection area, higher probability. And just one thing to note as well, we are above the 50 moving average. So we closed above it, came back and tested it yesterday in the post-market or the pre-market today. So I quite like the bounce at 41.54, 41.50 area, which is the left-hand shoulder. We talked about this setting up a shoulder a few days ago before we had this head put in, but it looks like it's doing exactly what I said it might be doing. We've got the neckline area here, which is 41.85, so potentially we're coming back to the break and retest area of this neckline. But I think I prefer 4200 as a neckline because that's where we came up to yesterday's high. So watching yesterday's high for a potential higher risk rejection or a break and retest long, and yesterday's lows for a bounce. That's what I'm kind of watching for. And if we get back down to this area here, it means this head and shoulders would be invalid because we haven't broken out through it. And I'll be watching 41.22 for a higher probability bounce. And that's it really. Okay, thank you for watching. If you liked the video, don't forget to hit the like button. And have a good day trading. Like I said, if it's an inside day today, which is at the moment, be very wary. And if it's going to trade sideways, I probably don't want to take part in that, so I'm going to probably sit out. So really 4200 is the level I'm watching. Okay, thank you for watching.